Hello everyone, this is AhmedMarey and I'll be presenting to you our work on utilizing low-cost portable EEG headset to detect emotional reaction to visual cues. We know that according to Al-Samihi, spaces play a considerable role in affecting human psychological mood, whether positively or negatively. That's why the study of the effect of the built environment on the quality of life has been given a continually increasing interest over the past few years due to its importance in regulating psychological mood. According to Gary and Fredrickson in 2006, regulating positive emotional experiences promotes resilience to stressful events. On the other hand, Cobb discusses the importance of controlling negative emotions and distress from a developmental perspective. The sensory information we receive from our environment significantly impacts how we feel and act. Most studies on human emotional reaction to environmental characteristics still concentrate on several well-defined and restricted sensory aspects of the environment, although we live in a highly diffused multisensory environments and despite growing interest from various application domains. As a result, systematic knowledge concerning effective multimodal interventions that produce desired results is still lacking. As we live in a dynamic environment where factors cannot be considered independently, we hypothesize that understanding brainwave activity should overcome the limitation of traditional tools. In the context of the built environment, emotional regulation through design, despite its significant potential for creating personalized design solutions, remains largely an undeveloped research area. Until now, the study of human emotional responses to visual cues depends depends heavily on pooled responses to surveys, which requires large samples for validation and consequently eliminate individual differences in emotional responses. The complex model of affect and its variants have been readily studied in the literature and were proven reliable in mapping and detecting human emotions. The model explains the emotions are disseminated in a two-dimensional circular space. Those two dimensions are defined as arousal, which means excitement or activation, and valence, which means positivity or pleasantness. The study of emotional responses to art has leading tradition, including Daniel Perlin's psychobiological model, embodied by the new experimental aesthetics movement of the 1970s, followed by many pieces of research, such as the International Affective Picture System and the Open Affective Standard Image Set, which is also called OASIS and used in this research. All the mentioned pieces of research did not test the viewer's emotional response, but instead focused on the emotions embodied in the picture. In other words, the tests were image-focused, not internal state-focused. Many published papers focus on emotion detection from facial recognition using artificial intelligence, such as the one presented by Jane 2019. However, Ru gives proof that a person's race affects how facial recognition software reads their emotions, which makes them unreliable. Many people, on the other hand, believe that one of the most effective and reasonably priced techniques for examining developmental changes is the EEG, which is defined as a technique for capturing an electrogram of the scalp's electrical activity, which has been demonstrated to represent the macroscopic activity of the brain's surface layer beneath. In this study, we validate using low-cost portable EEG headsets for emotional detection of the six measurements, namely engagement, excitement, focus, interest, relaxation, and stress, in relation to the valence and arousal reported in the OASIS dataset. Said otherwise, we transform the emotional data received from the EEG headset onto the complex model of affect. We use a validated set of visual cues, namely from the OASIS dataset, to carry out this transformation. 30 images were chosen from OASIS dataset based on three primary criteria. First, their valence and arousal levels in order to present the whole spectrum of results. Second, there is standard deviation results from the OASIS dataset to have the minimum variation between different individuals. Thirdly, and finally, their level of appropriateness to be presented in the culture of the environment or of the experiment. Also, to ensure that the responses are a mere indication of an instant emotional state, each image was displayed for a maximum of 10 seconds. The images are categorized by OASIS first and second authors into 4 categories. 2 of those were chosen for this experiment, namely scenes and objects categories. The EEG headset called Emotive Insight 2.0 was used to translate the participants' psychological signals into the 6 measurements stated above in a 100-grade point system. The first step entailed attaining the approval of the Institutional Review Board at the American University in Cairo. To follow the IRB recommendations, participants were allowed to leave the experiment at any time they felt uncomfortable without giving an explanation. 2 sampling strategies were used for recruiting participants. First, quota sampling, in which random participants are selected, and secondly, refer or snowballing sampling, in which participants refer us to others interested in the study. Each participant was assigned the 30 chosen images, and the experiment took place in a closed office environment, and each participant was examined individually to prevent any unexpected data contamination. The headset was placed and the brainwave activities were recorded along with the images being displayed. Additionally, the research team took notes of any abnormal activity conducted on the software as it might result from an external factor, which further helped in the data modeling process. The images used in this study can be defined into 2 categories as stated before, which are objects and scenes. Each of these categories was studied independently to have more accurate results and insight into the triggers of emotion responses. The 6 emotions stated were tested to see if there is any direct correlation between them and the valence and arousal values indicated by OASIS, and a linear regression model using the 6 emotion responses were created to identify the prediction accuracy of those responses in relation to valence and arousal level in the 2 indicated categories. The model for the valence estimation in the scenes category yield an R-squared value of 0.527 with a significance value going for the excitement aspect as the highest. On the other hand, the estimation for the valence in the object category yields an R-squared result of 0.929, and for the significance, the most significant aspect was engagement. The R-squared values for the arousal regression model for the scenes category and objects category are 0.21 and 0.539 respectively. And same goes for the different significant values for different factors of the 6 measurements. The results prove our initial hypothesis that a low-cost portable EEG headset can be used for emotional detection, especially when the visual cues fall under the category of objects. Also, it is easier to accurately predict valence than to predict arousal, using the 6 emotion states mentioned before. The study sets a cornerstone for further studies in different fields as the EEG headsets are widely available and expanding as the new Fitbit for the brain. Using EEG signals yields unbiased, accurate results, which can be used to inform decisions in a variety of contexts. Also, it opens up the door for emotional regulation. The idea of emotional regulation in multiple contexts have been proposed in previous studies. With the emergence of virtual realities and metaverse, understanding the emotional reaction to different contexts is a crucial step. We think that in the upcoming years, Oculus, the most well-known VR headset, will integrate brainwave sensors which will add to the experience of users to a great extent. Such an implementation will significantly affect our approach to designing architectural spaces. Kim Park and Chu in 2021 found significant differences between the ratio of alpha and beta waves for subjects experiencing a VR space with varied architectural aspects. However, this type of data is only understandable by experts in the field. The validation of low-cost portable EEG headsets in accurately detecting emotions can provide more insight to the general public about their feelings and preferences of the built environment. In addition, collecting analytics from individuals living in the same environment can provide more significant insights to designers and policymakers into ways of positive informed interventions. And thank you.